This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're here in the city of Sali. This is the last leg of our trip, and what a grand way to close at the Kever of Rabbi Refoel. nkowa, that's the way to pronounce it. nkowa. He was a descendant of Rabbi Ephraim nkowa, and he passed away in the year 1935 at quite an old age, at 88 years old. Now, what's amazing is you can focus on the Kever. They recently republished a number of his chidushim from the Ahavat Chayim. We have chidushim on Shulchan Aruch, Pa'amoinai Zahav, Pa'amoin V'Rimoin. Beautiful job. They put the Moroccan doors on the cover design. You have chidushim al Ashas, chidushay Re'im. You have Soyafois Re'im, Shaus Tshuvas. I want to speak out two tshuvas. I want to speak a little bit about his personality. He was Adin Nefesh. He was with great anivos and shiflos. He was very beloved by his community. However, when he needed to take a stand about something, he did. It distressed him greatly. The minhag here in Sali is the women always dressed with great modesty. There was one particular woman who flagrantly walked with her arms uncovered, and she broke out with terrible avabuos, shchin like from the Toichacha. And she accepted this as a oynesh for her flagrant lack of tznius, and she came crying to Rabbi Refoel, and Rabbi Refoel said, Moichal, Moichal. And she immediately was cured just like that. He didn't bear a grudge, even though it was considered an affront to his kavod. Now I want to share with you, we mentioned that one of the reasons we're not so familiar with the Moroccan Gedolim is because they didn't have access to the printing press. So when we're able to find their manuscripts and print their chidushim, it's really a special celebration and Yom Tif. So Shailas Utshuvos Karnei Re'im, the very interesting Shaila, Siman Ratio Tes. Somebody who gets a little older. Now Baruch Hashem, on our trip, we only have very young people. But sometimes people get older, let's say when they turn, 270 or something like that, and they get a little bit older, so if they don't hear so well, the question is, when you daven the Shemoneh Esrei, when you pray, Tzarech lahashmi'a la'oznav, you have to be able to hear it. When you daven the words of Shemoneh Esrei, many people daven quietly, their own ears cannot hear. It's not l'chadchila. You hear this? When you daven the Shemoneh Esrei, you have to be able to hear yourself say the words. So what if somebody is hard of hearing, and in order for them to say the words so that their ear could hear, they have to say it out loud? Should they say it out loud, and it might be disturbing to others, or should they continue to say it quietly, audible enough as if when they were young they would be able to hear? Says Rabbi Refoel nkowa, we have a proof from the Tzfardeya that if a person becomes older, they must say the Shemoneh Esrei louder so that their own ears could hear it. What's the proof? By all the Makos, it says, Vayetar Moshe, Vayetar Moshe. By the Tzfardeya, it says, Vayitzak el Hashem. So says Rabbi Refoel nkowa, look in the Shachal HaTorah. Why by Tzfardeya does it say, Vayitzak el Hashem? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was being mispalel. And when you're mispalel, Tzarech lahashmi'a la'oznav. The only thing is there was a raucous of the Tzfardeya. So he had to scream over them. So from here we see that it is subjective to your personal ability to hear, and it's not an objective decibel. Paskins Rabbi Refoel nkowa, Shaus Tshuvos Karnei Re'im, Siman Ratio Tes. One more. We know that if a person makes a bar pri hagafen, they don't make a bracha on other beverages. What if you didn't make the bar pri hagafen, but you were yotzei the bar pri hagafen with someone else's kiddush? Do you now have to make a bracha on the Coca-Cola? In other words, if you would drink yayin, that pater shahakal on Coca-Cola. But what if you heard someone else make a bracha on the yayin? Will that pater your bracha shahakal? He says, yes, shomea ka'oina. And therefore, if you're at a kiddush and you hear somebody else say bar pri hagafen, you do not make a shahakal on a drink. The bir halacha doesn't paskin that way. The bir halacha paskins, by the way, it depends how much you drink. Only if you drink a revius. And therefore at a kiddush, it's important. Either don't drink from the wine. People run to drink the wine to drink. It's good, you should. The Shulchan Aruch says, toiv, it's a good thing to drink from the Kiddush. But either drink nothing, or make sure you drink revius. Otherwise you get involved in a shiloh, whether you're going to have to make a bracha on a shakal, on other beverages. But the psak of Rabbi Refoel and Kava is that if the same way if you would make a hagafen, it patters other beverages. If you hear a hagafen, that also patters other beverages. So this is also considered one of the go-to kevarim here in Morocco, in the city of Sali. V'imali Hashem kol mishal seinu l'toiva.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.